Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Cards and Coffee. Today we're doing another deck talk, and this week we're talking about the deck that I honestly feel is the most slept on deck of the format, and you could even debate it's the best deck of the format. Or at least until Burst of Destiny, that is. The format right now is full of Drytron, full of Tri-Brigade, Virtual World, Sky Striker, you name it, there's decks running wild right now, but Dragon Link honestly might be the most slept on deck of this format. Now, honestly, it's probably because Dragon Link's been around in some shape or form for the last 2 years or so. So I could totally understand why people might not want to play this deck, because honestly, 2 years of one deck could get pretty old. But I will say winning never gets old, and Dragon Link is probably one of the best decks to help you get there. In all honesty, this deck is literally just a pile of good dragon cards. And while it might not lock you out of the extra deck like it used to, or put a bunch of negates on board, this deck plays through hand traps, breaks boards, can OTK out of nowhere, and honestly, if you open good enough, you'll put up a board that's just as good as the last format's board. This deck's ceiling is insanely high, super versatile, and you really don't have a lot of bricks you play in the deck. Personally, if I were going to a locals or maybe playing in some remote duels this weekend, this is probably the deck that I would take. Now, don't get me wrong, I love Tri-Brigade and Drytron and even Virtual World, and honestly, any of those decks I've shown you earlier could do just as well as this deck, but Dragon Link has this extra layer that I love about it. Again, being super versatile and being able to play through hand traps way easier than any deck this format, this deck honestly is horrifying. So again, while the boards vary with this deck because there's no set in stone combos for this deck, the flexibility and ceiling that this deck has and offers to a player definitely will reward the critical thinker. Today I'm going to show you the deck list that I've been personally running, and again, post Burst of Destiny there's going to be a lot of changes to it, but before Burst of Destiny, this is the list I would bring to an event. So we're going to jump into this, guys, but first, as always, please go grab yourself a cup of coffee or something, that way you guys can sit down and tune in. Thanks, guys. Alright guys, so starting things off, we're obviously going to be playing 3 copies of Starliege Seyfried. This is just the best normal summon in your deck to start the game off. This card is amazing at getting your Chaos Engine started, but the thing I love the most about this card is the fact that you can add any level 8 light or dark dragon from your grave back to the hand. This is amazing because there's so many niche interactions you can use this for. One of the simplest things you can do with it is recycle something like your Borload Savage Dragon that you might have used turn 1, but honestly one of my favorite things to do with it is to add Chaos Levineer from the graveyard back to your hand, and honestly it's really easy to set up because again this deck inherently searches Dragon Ravine, so you know if you're starting your turn with Seyfried, you're gonna hit Romulus, and Ravine obviously has the ability to dump any dragon to the graveyard, so pretty obvious to see what you can do. This card is just so versatile, and like I mentioned, there's just so many different interactions this card has with this deck, so you definitely want to max it out at 3. Now, like I mentioned, we are playing the Chaos Dragons, the 1 white and the 1 black. Not only searchable by Seyfried, but also Chaos Space is an amazing card in this deck. In all honesty, these cards make the deck. This deck could probably function without it, but let's be real, these 2 cards are amazing. Being able to special summon them from the hand freely and then search the other one after you used it for your link or for a synchro play just to summon the other one to the field obviously makes for some insane link climbs and synchro plays that most decks honestly can't keep up with. And again, like I mentioned earlier, we're playing the 1 Chaos Levineer. Again, there's just so many ways to get into this card, whether you're dumping it with Ravine, milling it off of Chaos Ruler, or hard drawing it in your combo. This card is amazing. It is so versatile. Again, I'll probably say that about every card I put on the table, but it can pop cards, it can rip cards out of the hand, it can even bring monsters back from the graveyard. This card is amazing. And the fact that this deck not only gets to use it, but can use it multiple times a duel, yeah, it's pretty insane. After the Chaos Levineer, I am playing another boss monster. I am playing the 1 Red MD. I personally am a really big fan of Red MD, just being a dragon that can throw himself on the board and freely bring back other dragons to help you link climb is super insane. Another really great thing about it is if ever you get Nibiru'd after you had Heraldic Seals on the field, you can just bring this out from the deck, use its effect to bring back any dragon, and then continue your play from there, whether it's making a Romulus or a second seal, or if you have a rocket in the grave, you can make quad God Boral and pop it and bring back your monsters to make a Borreload Savage Dragon. This card is personally one of my favorite cards. Even after it's been errated, I still think it's an insane card. As a matter of fact, I love the card so much, I even play the 1 Black Metal Dragon. Just another normal summon for the deck. We have the 3 safe words. The Black Metal makes for a 4th normal summon of the deck. Instantly linking it off just to search the red MD, and then banishing whatever you linked into to summon the red eyes, and then bring back the metal from the grave again, and then again, boom, instant link to whether it's Romulus or Heretic Seals or you name it, you're off to the races. The deck is ready to start comboing. Again, at the end of the day, even if you have barely anything to combo, as long as you can get 2 dragons on the board, you can put up a half decent board, to say the least. After that, I am on only 2 copies of Rocket Tracer. I didn't want too many normal summons in this deck. Again, I want to save it for the Saferd and the Black Metal, but this card does make for a fairly decent normal summon. More times than not, I never really find myself needing 3 copies of this. I actually find more often than not, I just need more targets to bring out off of Tracer's effect. So instead, I'm playing the 1 Recharger and double Rocket Synchron. Again, you can play the 1 Synchron and then bump Tracer to 3, but again, more times than not, I run out of cards to bring out off of Tracer, let alone run out of Tracers to play the game. Rocket Synchron makes for an amazing target to bring out of the deck. Being a level 1 tuner sets up a lot of really great synchro plays, and in addition, in the late game, this card is insane, bringing back any level 5 or higher from your graveyard just to instantly link it off or synchro summon. Yeah, the card's an amazing follow-up after turn 1. And to complete the Rocket package, I am only playing 1 Absolrouter Dragon. Again, I never want to see this card in multiples, so while a lot of people like playing 2 because it's a half-decent extender, since my Rocket count's a little lower, I just figured that wouldn't come up as much. And in addition, if I really need Tracer, as long as I can get 2 dragons on the board, I can make Romulus to dump this to get my Tracer back to hand. After that, I am playing 2 more level 7s. I honestly wish I was playing 3 of these, but right now I'm on 2 Noctivision. The Graveyard effect to protect your set cards doesn't come up as much as it used to, but it's still a very great effect. Honestly, this is probably one of my favorite extenders in the deck. Just being able to throw itself on the board for free and then being able to replace itself by drawing a card after you link it off honestly makes for an insane card. Not only that, but it helps chain block card effects like Romulus or even your Striker Dragon. Whatever effect you have that happens on summon, this card could easily chain block it, helping Ash Blossom miss its window of timing to negate any of your search effects. Again, if I had the room, I'd put in a 3rd, but this is a solid 40, and yeah, space is pretty tight. After the Noctovision, I am also playing the 1 Chamber Dragonmaid. This technically is my 5th normal summon, so again, 5 is pretty much the ideal number you want in a combo deck. In all honesty, more times than not, you're not trying to normal summon her. You'd much rather dump her into the grave and then bring her back with something like Pisty, or a Tiding, or a Red MD. Honestly, I really appreciate this card because being able to search Tiding as an interruption is very important for this deck, just because being able to diversify your interruptions is honestly very important. Hell, look at Drytron. You put up a boss monster that technically could have infinite negates, but something as simple as a Dark Ruler or a Kaiju or a Droplets stops the 1 card. But the reason Drytron's so great is that even if they do have that answer, you still have the orange lights in your hand to at least stop monster effects. This deck is no different. Being able to put up bounces and Masquerena to go into Unicorn to spin cards, or even negates with Hot Red and Borreload, makes for some amazing first turn boards, but the fact that you also get to have a trap card set makes it to where you won't just auto lose to something like a Dark Ruler no more. Hell, look at Virtual World. It basically did the same thing. Put a soft lock on the board, and then you had a continuous trap to interrupt anything that hit the field. It's weird, right? It's almost like all the best decks kind of do the same thing. Now, that's it for all the dragon monsters. Again, nothing too crazy, but that's the lineup that's really been working out for me. After that, I am on some hand traps. I tried to stick to light and dark hand traps just for Chaos Ruler. First off, we're playing 3 copies of Effect Veiler. This card is so insane right now. With decks like Drytron and Tri-Brigade running around, Effect Veiler is so effective at stopping some of the key cards for their combo. Even in the mirror match, being able to stop something like Romulus, it's pretty insane. Again, it's a level 1 tuner, so you can even normal summon it and synchro summon it off for one of your synchro monsters. And again, it's a light monster, so if you hit it off Chaos Ruler, then you just got a free hand trap. After that, we are on 3 copies of Nibiru, the primal being. This hand trap is amazing right now. Not everyone's trying to play around this card game 1, and in addition, some decks can play through it, but when you back it up with something like Effect Veiler, Nibiru can punish a lot of the decks in the format right now. And again, while the first turn boards you make might not be the most impressive boards, when you back it up with something like a Nibiru, there's no way your opponent can play around that. Not only that, Nibiru can also trigger your Hieratic Seals to help you special summon any dragon from your deck. Again, it's a light, so you can ditch it with Chaos Space or hit it off Chaos Ruler. This personally is one of my favorite cards right now, and people honestly have to respect it. Now, after Nibiru, I am playing one more hand trap, and honestly, this isn't very popular right now, but I personally think this card is really good right now. I am on 3 copies of Fantastical Dragon Phantasme. Again, it's a dark, so the synergy is all there. It's also a dragon, so there's even more synergy with that. But there are so many decks right now that are just spamming Link monsters to the field, whether it's the Mirror Match, Tri-Brigade, Sky Striker, hell, even Drytron's making Link monsters right now. Being able to throw this card on the field, draw into more cards, and then having a card on the field that can protect your monsters from stuff like Effect Veiler and Infinite Impermanence makes for an insane card. Now, yes, again, there are decks like Virtual World that, well, this card's pretty useless against, but your deck inherently discards cards throughout your combos, so worst case scenario, if the matchup is bad, then just discard it. And again, the fact that this is a dragon makes for some insane synergy. I personally just love this card to pieces in the deck. Now, quick disclaimer, again, post Burst of Destiny, this card 100% will be pulled from the deck. I love this card so much, but I know a lot of people are gonna be on the Sword Soul hype, so I would expect the likelihood of running into that deck pretty high. So in all honesty, after Burst of Destiny, this card would probably get cut for something like Forbidden Droplet. Now, that's it for the monsters, so I'm going to run through the spells really quick. Nothing too crazy, just 3 copies of Chaos Space, obviously being an amazing Rhoda for the deck. Having synergy with all your Chaos monsters, dumping lights and darks. I would imagine there's going to be a day this card's either banned or at least limited to 1. This card's pretty insane. After that, we are on 3 Quick Launch. Again, another card that I would imagine should be on the ban list in some shape or form. The fact that it's not once per turn, just like Emergency Teleport, is really insane. After that, just some one-ofs, the Boot Sector for the combo, the Dragon Ravine, again, for more of the combo, and the one Called by the Grave. Just a really versatile card, again, stopping hand traps or using it defensively on your opponent's turn. It's an insane card, what can I say? And after that, I am playing again one of my favorite spell cards, 3 Triple Tactics Talents. Not everybody will play this card, but personally, I just love it. Any deck that can get away with playing it definitely should. This deck is so great at playing through hand traps, so baiting a hand trap and then ripping more cards out of your opponent's hand just so you can custom make your board to whatever you need for any situation to make sure your opponent cannot win the game makes for an insane card. Again, this deck is so toolbox and so versatile. Any opening hand you have probably has 3 to 4 different end boards. So being able to take a peek at your opponent's hand and custom choose what route you want to take, this card's insane, honestly. It's a change of heart or a pot of greed. What is not to love about this card, honestly? Now, that's it for the spells, and the trap lineup's really small. We're just playing 2 copies of Tidying. Again, you don't really need more than this, especially since we're playing the 1 Dragonmaid. But honestly, again, this card is so insane by being able to diversify your interruptions and even add a grind game to the deck. This is personally one of my favorite cards in the deck, and I definitely don't see myself cutting it anytime soon. That's it for the main deck, guys. Before we hop into the extra deck, I just wanted to mention, in case you guys didn't know, I'm doing a progression series on my channel. I am a big fan of SEMO series, so I had to hop on the hype, and honestly, our decks are getting pretty insane. The main reason our decks are so insane is because we also found a way to include starter decks into our series. Not only does this give us access to awesome staples, but there's also a cool twist we have in our series that helps balance the game. But again, you'll have to tune in and find out what we're talking about. I put out an episode every Wednesday, so again, just look for it above or down below. I believe we're on episode 9 or 10. Invasion of Chaos is right around the corner. So again, if you get the chance, please go check it out. I would really appreciate it, guys. Alright, so moving on to the extra deck. It's nothing too fancy, but I'll go ahead and run through it anyway. I'm on the 1 copy of Striker Dragon, obviously just an amazing Link 1. I find a lot of people these days make the mistake of going into this guy in the beginning of your combo, when in all actuality, you should probably try to summon this guy in the middle of your combo. The only reason is you don't have LP anymore, so having the correct arrows for Pisty to resolve is pretty difficult without LP. But in desperate times, you can still make this card as your first Link summon. Again, you can chain block it with something like Noctovision, and in all honesty, the field spell is an insanely powerful card. After that, I already mentioned it, the one Guard Dragon Pisty. This card is obviously amazing, and obviously I don't make it as much as I used to, but this card still makes for some insane combos. Hell, there's even times I just link into it randomly just to get something in the grave, honestly. It's kind of weird. This card's either insanely broken or just a blank Link 1. It's pretty hilarious. For the Link 2s, we're playing the one Romulus, obviously, to get the Ravine. That way you can dump whatever dragon you need for your combo. The one Quad Boral Dragon, again, just being able to pop a card on the field and even bring back some rocket monsters from the grave to continue your combo. Honestly, I'd play multiples of this if I could fit it. This card's pretty broken. After that, we are on, of course, the Hieratic Seal of Heavenly Spears. 2 copies is my personal preference. I guess you could get away with one, but in all honesty, this deck's a lot grindier than it used to be. Spheres is super important to the deck. It's honestly not only an interruption, but it's what keeps the engine going, keeping a flow, being able to bring out whatever dragon you need for the next turn, helps keep the loop of dragons in your deck going, so that way turn 3 and on, you can OTK or break any board that you might be staring at. I do play one more Link 2. I mentioned her earlier, the one IP Masquerena. This card is amazing to go into right beside the Spears. Even something as simple as using Spear to bounce a monster and then using his effect to summon Dragonmaid. The Dragonmaid's effect will then search you Tiding, and then you can use Masquerena's effect to make Unicorn, pitching the Tiding you just searched to bounce another card, and now you have the Dragonmaid and the Tiding engraved for the start of your next turn. It's pretty crazy. After that, like I mentioned, there's the one Unicorn just for the combo I just mentioned. And even going second, it's a dark, so it's super easy to use. After that, I am also playing the one Triple Burst Dragon. This card comes up more than I thought it would, honestly. Honestly, more times than not, you'll make this for LP combos because it points down, but its other effect to negate effects that activate in the damage step is actually pretty useful. Being able to stop something like Sky Striker Ace Ray from coming back from the grave is honestly pretty hilarious. After that, we're playing 3 Link 4s. The one access code, again, when you're going for game. Boral Sword when you're trying to, well, also go for game. And the one Appaloosa Bow of the Goddess for whenever you're not locked into darks. Being able to make this before you start committing more cards to the board is pretty insane. This is honestly probably one of the best floodgate monsters in the game right now, so if you ever have the opportunity to make it, I'd definitely say you should go for it. After that, we are playing 3 Synchros, which are pretty standard. The one Chaos Ruler, as I mentioned earlier, just being able to bring himself back for Link fodder or Synchro fodder. And again, excavating the top 5 cards of your deck, just trying to hit a light or a dark, is honestly just super free. After that, we have the Borreload Savage. Again, just the Omni Negate. This card is insane. And then after that, we have the one Hot Red, where most of the time you make this when you Synchro with Legionnaire or the Chaos Ruler. Again, it's just another negate. Being able to target something on the field as a quick effect and negate its effects is really insane. Actually, you could even argue this is better than Borreload because this card actually helps you play around stuff like Dark Ruler No More and Forbidden Droplets. I know, it sounds crazy, but let me explain. So let's say for argument's sake you have an interruption, whether it's Borreload or Hieratic Seal or you name it, alongside your Hot Red, and you were also able to search a Tidying in your combo. Now, when your opponent activates something like Dark Ruler No More, you can't respond with monster effects, but you can respond with Tidying. So I know what you're thinking. You're like, why does that matter, Justin? That doesn't stop Dark Ruler. Well, my friend, the important thing to know is the fact that Dark Ruler specifically says monster effects cannot respond to the activation of the card, not that its effects can't be negated. So by chaining Dragonmaid Tidying as Chain Link 2, now you can chain your Hot Red as Chain Link 3, targeting the Dark Ruler No More and negating its effects. The only reason this works is because you didn't respond to Dark Ruler No More with a monster effect, you responded with Tidying, and then responded to the Tidying with Hot Red. It's kind of a cool loophole you can do. But that's it, guys. That's all I got for you today. I was thinking of showing you guys a combo or two, but the deck is so toolbox and so versatile, it's really kind of hard to just do combos with this deck. In all honesty, it'd probably be better if I just made a whole separate video just doing test hands. So if that's something you guys are actually into, let me know and comment down below. I'll gladly make a video just running through test hands, explaining my sequencing, how I would play around hand traps, and what the heck I'm trying to accomplish, honestly. This deck is so insanely versatile, so powerful, and the options are almost limitless. It's so easy to see why someone would fall in love with this deck, even if it's been around for 2 years. But that's all the time I have today, guys. I really appreciate you guys for for tuning in. Again, if you haven't checked it out already, go check out the progression series. It's honestly been a lot of fun. And tune in next week. I'm hopefully going to have another deck profile up. And in addition, keep on the lookout for some new deck profiles post Burst of Destiny. If everything goes according to plan, then I should have some Sword Soul and some Flunderies and all kinds of decks for post Burst of Destiny. So I'm super excited to show you guys that, honestly. So once again, guys, thank you so much for tuning in. I really appreciate all you guys who watch these episodes. I'll see you guys on the next episode. Peace.